The first transmission from the Zephyrian Empire arrived on a Tuesday, crackling through Earth's communication arrays with the arrogance of a civilization that had conquered 17 star systems. Admiral Chen Martinez stared at the holographic projection of the alien ambassador, a tall crystalline being whose prismatic face seemed to shift colors with each word. "Greetings, primitive mammals," the Zephyrian envoy began, its voice like wind chimes in a hurricane. "I am High Executor, Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire. Your pathetic species has 30 rotations to surrender unconditionally or face annihilation." Martinez leaned back in his chair, studying the alien's translator device. "And what makes you think we'll surrender?" The crystalline being's laughter was like shattering glass. "We have observed your military capabilities, crude projectile, weapons, chemical explosives. We possess energy shields that can deflect your most powerful nuclear devices. Our plasma cannons can vaporize your cities from orbit. Your technology is barely beyond stone tools compared to ours." "I see," Martinez said calmly. "And how many species have you conquered with this advanced technology?" 17 civilizations have knelt before our might. The silicon-based Petra, Collective, the gas-form nebula swimmers, the energy beings of Proxima 7, all fell within days of our arrival. Martinez nodded thoughtfully. "Impressive. Tell me, High Executor, in all these conquests, did you ever encounter kinetic projectile weapons?" Vextar's prismatic face flickered with confusion. "You mean throwing rocks? What relevance could such primitive—" "I'll take that as a no," Martinez interrupted. "Thank you for the conversation. We'll be in touch." The transmission ended, leaving the war room in silence. General Sarah Okafor, head of Earth's Unified Defense Force, shook her head. 30 days to prepare for an invasion by an empire that's never lost a war, against energy shields and plasma weapons. "Actually," Martinez said, a slight smile playing at his lips, "I think we might have an advantage they haven't considered." 3 weeks later, the Zephyrian fleet emerged from hyperspace, 200 crystalline vessels that looked like frozen starlight. Their shields shimmered with energy patterns that could deflect any form of directed energy. Admiral Kexnur, commanding from the flagship Infinite Prism, opened communications to the primitive world below. "Your time is up, humans. Witness the power of—" His words were cut short as every sensor on his bridge screamed warnings. From Earth's surface, something was rising. Not energy beams or plasma bolts, but solid objects. Thousands of them. "What are those?" Kexnur demanded. His tactical officer's crystalline form rippled with confusion. "Sir, they appear to be metal rods? Approximately 2 meters in length, tungsten composition, traveling at—" The officer's voice cracked. "Sir, they're traveling at 12 kilometers per second. Impossible. Nothing that primitive could achieve such velocities without—" The first kinetic projectile struck the Eternal Shard, a destroyer on the fleet's periphery. The tungsten rod, accelerated by magnetic rail systems hidden across Earth's surface, punched through the energy shield as if it weren't there. Energy shields were designed to deflect energy, not solid matter traveling at hypersonic speeds. The rod continued through the ship's crystalline hull, the kinetic energy flash vaporizing everything in its path. The destroyer simply disappeared, turned into expanding plasma by the sheer force of impact. "Shields don't stop them," the tactical officer reported as more projectiles streaked upward. "The kinetic energy is too great. The shields can't disperse solid matter traveling at those speeds." Kexnur watched in horror as his fleet, the pride of the Zephyrian Empire, was systematically destroyed by what amounted to thrown spears. Advanced, magnetically accelerated spears, but the principle was the same as a Stone Age hunter's weapon. "Return fire, plasma cannons full power." The Zephyrian ships unleashed their devastating energy weapons, beams of superheated plasma that could level mountains. The beams struck Earth's magnetic field and were harmlessly deflected into space. The humans had turned their planet's natural defense into a shield, but the tungsten rods kept coming. Earth's hidden railgun network, built not in space where it could be easily detected but in reinforced bunkers deep underground, continued its barrage. Each projectile carried the kinetic energy of a small nuclear weapon, and there was no defense against them. "This is impossible," Kexner raged as another cruiser vanished in a flash of vaporized metal. "How can a primitive species—" "Because we're not primitive," came a transmission from Earth. Admiral Martinez appeared on the screen, his expression calm. "We're just different. You've spent centuries fighting species that developed along similar technological paths. Energy beings, advanced civilizations that moved beyond kinetic weapons millennia ago. But we're still human. We still remember that sometimes the best solution is the simplest one." Another salvo of tungsten rods tore through the fleet. Kexner's flagship shuddered as impact struck the outer hull. "You want to know what your real mistake was?" Martinez continued. "You told us exactly how your shields work. Energy deflection. Perfect for stopping plasma, lasers, particle beams. Useless against a chunk of metal moving fast enough. The remaining Zephyrian ships tried to retreat, but the railgun network had anticipated this. Projectiles arced through space, calculated trajectories intersecting with escape routes. One by one, the crystalline vessels were reduced to glittering debris. Kexner's flagship was the last to fall. As the final tungsten rod punched through his command deck, his last thought was of bitter irony. An empire that had conquered 17 civilizations ended by the oldest weapon known to thinking beings, throwing something really, really hard. In the aftermath, as rescue shuttles searched for survivors among the wreckage, Martinez stood in the observation deck of the orbital station. General Okafor joined him, watching the cleanup crews work. "Think the rest of their empire will come looking for revenge?" she asked. Martinez shrugged. "If they do, we'll be ready. Amazing what you can accomplish when you don't abandon the basics." He paused, then added with a grin. "Besides, wait until they see what we can do with nuclear-tipped kinetic projectiles." The news of the Zephyrian fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy within days. An empire that had seemed unstoppable, defeated by weapons their enemies dismissed as primitive. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they played by their own rules. In the depths of space, other civilizations took note. These humans were indeed primitive by galactic standards. Their technology was crude, their ships simple metal constructs. But they had something that 17 conquered species had lacked: the wisdom to remember that sometimes the old ways work best. The Zephyrian Empire's 14 remaining worlds surrendered within a month, their surrender message simple: "We yield to the kinetic weapons masters of Earth." Humanity's reputation was established. They were the species that ended an empire with sharpened sticks, very, very fast sharpened sticks.